Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with a deck that I have not played in a hot minute, and that's Sky Striker. So I definitely wanted to make sure I got some practice in before taking this deck to rank ladder. So I also wanted to make sure I got in practice against Kewl, and in an effort to do both, you're actually watching dual triangle games here. This, of course, being a game against Kewl that we're starting with here. Opponent's going to lead with Synchro Overtake. I'm going to fire off the Ash Blossom, but it looks like they've got a Kewl Synchro. So one of the reasons that I wanted to do a lot of testing in this specific format was, again, to not only get more familiar with Sky Striker, but specifically how it plays against Kewl, which is actually pretty well. There's a lot of reasons why this matchup tends to be pretty good for Sky Striker. We're going to kind of see one of the main ones in action here, and that's the fact that the information that Sky Striker, or that Kewl gains against Sky Striker with Rotary and Q tends to be a lot more limited than it would be against other decks, right? And the main reason for that is cards like Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. This and Upstart Goblin and Pot of Desires and Radiant Typhoon Vision are all cards that either draw or search, meaning if your opponent is looking at your hand and they see a bunch of cards like Engage or, again, Upstart, Desires, Vision, among other cards, they're not really gaining a lot of information because you're basically going to have a whole new hand by the time it goes around to your turn. And on top of that, Q, looking at the top two cards of the deck, is a lot more limited in the scope of what it can do when you have the ability to search so many key effects from your deck. Another reason why Sky Striker has a really good Kewl matchup is also the fact that Kewl Mix and Rekko here are actually a lot more difficult to use against Sky Striker. Their effects to destroy monsters and spell or trap cards don't really come up as much when Sky Striker can pretty much clear through an opponent's board without having to commit any monsters or like face down or continuous spell or trap cards. So they can have the remix if they want, but I'm really not worried about it. Another reason why the deck tends to not really do so well against Sky Striker, Kewl that is board breakers, and Sky Striker plays a lot of them. Now, because I'm playing in the Dual Triangle event, I actually don't even get to play the best board breaker against Kewl, which is going to be Super Polymerization, because I'm only able to use Link monsters in my extra deck. However, you may have noticed one of the cards that got revealed off of Q earlier was another tech card that I'm playing against Kewl, and that is Book of Eclipse. I think if you're playing a deck where you can afford to have some of these board breaker cards, but you don't want to commit extra deck space for Super Polymerization, Book of Eclipse ends up being an excellent pick, because when you are turning your opponent's monsters face down, they can't Synchro Summon with them, including with the effect of Kewl Synchro. So I really like having Book of Eclipse if Super Polymerization isn't feasible. Alright, now here I'm going to go Normal Summon Ray. I basically just kind of wanted to bait out this remix and see what they would go for. I imagined it was probably going to be Zaylin, but I think they end up making that later. Yeah, it looks like they're just making another track maker first, and then they're probably going to use the face down Kewl Synchro to make the Zaylin. Alright, now we have the Engage plus the Linkage, and we're already getting to put a 0 on the field. I'm going to threaten to try to search another Engage. This is something that I was pretty confident in doing as far as like trying to get the opponent to use their negates, which they do use the RS here. I wanted to not only have access to more engages, but again, just trying to force my opponent to use up all their disruption. And they are going to in fact end up using both the RS effect and the Kewl Synchro in this chain link, which works out really well for me, because I was just going to use Droplet to negate Trackmaker search. However, now that they've summoned Zaylin in the chain link before Droplet resolves, I can just use Droplet to negate their Zaylin instead. They did put back the Ray that was in my graveyard, which is a little annoying, but really not a big deal at all. I'm going to use Ace 0 to add another Engage. I think I did misplay there, though. What I could have and should have done, excuse me, is also use a linkage in that same chain link and sent away the Droplet. Then I could have summoned out Azalea and sent either RS or the field spell. Probably honestly the field spell, because I'm going to use RS as a material later in the turn. And then I also would have had 3 spells lined up for both of my engages to draw a card, instead of only one of my engages is going to draw a card here. So that was a misplay I caught like in the game itself, and I wanted to point that out here. Although, to be fair, if any seasoned Sky Striker players are watching, you're probably noticing misplays left and right. I do actually encourage any Sky Striker players to chime into the comment section. I'm always open to criticism as far as gameplay goes. One of the main reasons I like uploading to YouTube so much is that the insight from you all does actually help improve my play sometimes. So if, again, any seasoned Sky Striker players are willing to offer any commentary, I'm more than open to it, for sure. Like I said, this is a deck I want to get good at because it's good against Kewl Toon, and it's also going to get better in the future. Now, I know this was a misplay. Oh my god, having this token out while I'm trying to add this engage with the Kagari is so awkward. No reason for me to do that here. Just a complete misuse of the linkage. It's really easy to get caught up in the moment, though, and being like, should I do this? And, of course, the more you're thinking, the more your timer is going down. I think that time management is really important for playing this deck, both in Master Duel and in real life, too. Just trying not to sit there. Decision paralysis is something I get caught up in a lot. Just trying to figure out what the best move is. Yeah, I kind of had to awkwardly make this Zeke here in order to pivot and be able to still make some of the plays I wanted to, but now we're going to make Azalea, so that way we can pop the field spell, deny them a little bit more of their follow-up, and then go into a Matsu, set 3, and then pass back over to our opponent. Yeah, the problem of the way I played that turn was I was trying to do both the control and OTK kind of at the same time. Like, as in, I was trying to save this linkage for a potential OTK line, but I should have realized when it wasn't possible. And again, I really should have used linkage earlier. Could have drawn and searched off of both of my engages and definitely would have changed the turn for the better. Alright, they're going to normal summon Q, revive Zaylin. I'm just going to flip up the Lemnis Gate at this point. Gonna put back 4 of each, just reloading my extra deck. I probably only needed to do 3 of each, though, because I'm only trying to bounce 2 cards, and, well, we still have 3 spells in the graveyard, so it's really not that big of a deal. Alright, so here we're gonna battle over the clip, and then we're gonna go for the linkage. Unfortunately, they have a delta stopping me from being able to OTK this turn. So yeah, they get to negate that. Moving to main phase 2, another huge misplay. There was no reason for me to summon Eldum here. I am running a small Radiant Typhoon package that'll go over in the deck build section, but yeah, no, as soon as I threw out that body, I was like, why did I do that? The correct play was just make Kagari, so now I have to awkwardly make Camellia before I Kagari. But again, this is why we're practicing. This is why I'm in the Dual Triangle event and not Ranked Ladder. Oh, Lord. But now we get to search and draw, and we even find a Ray. So I'm going to normal summon a Ray and then go for another Ace 0. And we can just use Ace 0 to find another engage and do some more searching and drawing. I've snowballed enough advantage up to this point that my misplays don't really matter. Also, I'm on a little bit of a budget build because I'm only playing 1 Lemnis Gate. You really should have 2. And if I was on 2, I absolutely would have searched 1 here. That way your Lemnis Gate can shuffle back your Lemnis Gate, so on and so forth. I'm also only on 2 Ace 0, ideally I'd be on 3, but I'm still learning this deck, and I kind of want to see what the next selection pack has in it before I, craft any more URs at this point. Alright, they're going to go for Rekko. I'm going to use the Widow Anchor to steal and negate, and if they want to normal summon Q, I can just droplet send Rekko to negate it, but they're going to not do anything else, so end phase I'll just blow up the Rekko, summon Ray plus Rose, and I have like a million different ways to find lethal here. I can just swing in with both of these and then use Ray's effect. And even though I can't use a linkage because I still have the Rose in the main monster zone, I can still use the Lemnis Gate graveyard effect to get the Rose out of my main monster zone. And at this point, I don't even need to use a linkage to OTK anymore because I can just make another Ace 0 and then I'll use the second effect again. Because remember, last time I used it was during my opponent's end phase, so I can still use it during my turn here. Yep, there's the Ace 0 battle, and then the second effect, and then we can finally swing in for lethal. So, that was really sloppy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was really sloppy. But at the same time, the sloppiness didn't really make stopping my opponent's Cool Tune board in plays any less difficult. I more just kind of dragged out the duel a couple of extra turns longer than it needed to. But the whole time the duel was getting dragged out, there was never any push back or forth. As soon as we dealt with our opponent's first Cool Tune board, we were in control the entire time. And again, that's really what Sky Striker does best in this meta. I've got another game against Cool Tune. Let me show that one, because if I remember right, it should be at least a little bit cleaner. Yeah, so here's my next game against Cool Tune. Won the coin flip, but elected to go second. I think you could make an argument for going first with Sky Striker, but I really do like going second because it denies the opponent to OTKU, and it's not like as Sky Striker you're going to set up a super robust board. I think Sky Striker is just much better at dismantling boards than it is at setting them up. Dismantling turn 1 boards, I should say. And also because a lot of the time you're either trying to OTK or play the control game, and going second kind of makes more sense in either case, because obviously if you want to OTK, you have to be able to battle to do that. But even if you're playing the control game, if your opponent goes first and exhausts, a lot of their resources from their hand, then once you clean up their board, it becomes so much easier to have control of the game when your opponent's only having 2 or 3 cards in their hand at a time. As opposed to your opponent having 6 cards and all you have is like Ace-0, Widow Anchor, Lemnis Gate face down, and that's even a best case scenario. Yeah, so here I'm not really concerned about what my opponent's doing. I'm just kind of hanging out, letting them do their thing. They can summon Zaylin if they want, that's fine. Yeah, they even though they resolved Rotary and Q, I'm really not concerned if they know what's in my hand, because it's not really going to change how things play out here. We're going to go draw phase Vision, they're going to fire off Remix. That's beautiful, love to see it. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Kind of a little bit pointless for my opponent to have made Remix if they were just going to summon RS during my draw phase anyway, but I get it. I mean, I understand why they did it. To have that potential flexibility to use Mix and Recco to pop cards. But again, Sky Striker can answer boards without even committing that much. Love having the Desires here. Instead of continuing my draw phase, I'm just going to go Desires during the main phase. Main things we lost there were Rose, Swen, and Array. And Engage, that's fine. Oh, and MST as well. Alright, so we'll make the Kagari. I'm going to activate Kagari to add back the Hornet drones. So I'm doing a couple of things right now. I'm not only climbing up into the Ace-0, but I'm really just testing the waters and seeing if my opponent's willing to use any of their negates early. They are being quite patient. They're playing this quite well. So we're going to activate Ace-0, and they're going to fire off an Effect Veiler. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain Droplet. That way my Ace-0 will still resolve to search the Engage. They're going to chain their Cool Tune Synchro, but thankfully we can just use Ash Blossom in order to negate that. Now they're going to fire off the Zaylin, and this is what I've been waiting for with my double Widow Anchor. We can go chain Widow Anchor to Zaylin, they're going to chain RS on my Widow Anchor, but of course we have the second Widow Anchor, so we can just chain it on their RS. And my opponent saw my hand, they knew I had, Droplet, double Widow Anchor, all this stuff, but again, even if they look, there's only so many things they can do, right? Now we get to negate and steal both of my opponent's monsters. You might be wondering why I want both of them, since they are, of course, going to be in my main monster zone and taking up space on my board. However, it's actually completely fine to have multiple monsters here, because I can just link them off into the Azalea. And if not Azalea, Camellia is definitely another option too. We're going to use Azalea to get Clip off the board and make an OTK line easier. Let's see what we draw off this Engage. We're of course going to search the linkage, but then our opponent's going to concede. I actually don't know if I would have been able to OTK there, because I did already use A0's first effect, so I can't do the second effect. But I could have gone Azalea Battle, linkage for Kagari, Kagari Battle, and I had both in... No, I didn't have both in there, so it wouldn't have gotten the buff. Yeah, I don't know if I would have been able to OTK there. I think I actually probably should have sent the JJ Cool Tune instead of the Clip. Just battle over that and get rid of their follow-up options. I mean, either way, my opponent's only going to have a 2-card hand. Probably not much they can do, especially once I start setting, like, this Lemnis Gate and then, whatever I end up drawing or searching or whatever off the the follow-up engage here, but just want to show, again, a slightly cleaner example of how good Sky Striker is against Kewl Toon. And I do have one final replay here. This one's against Hero. For the most part, since I was done with the gyms in the event, I was just kind of conceding against everything that wasn't Kewl Toon. But I did stick around for a couple of duels, including this one against Hero. Because we have the Book of Eclipse, and I kind of wanted to see how much it would come up here, if at all. They're going to lead with Fusion Destiny, sending Mally and Denier in order to make the DPE, the Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer. Now Mally is going to activate, banishing in order to summon another copy. And they're going to go for Polymerization next, fusing Malicious with another Malicious and a Neos in hand. And they're going to summon Vision Hero Trinity, which is totally fine, because it's not like they can battle here. Denier gets to put back the Mally after it revives. And they're going to go for Malicious yet again. But of course, because this is dual triangle, they can't go into the extra hero Cross Crusader. So they're just going to pass here. Alright, I'm actually going to lead with the engage, because, yep, I wanted to see if they had an Ash Blossom, and sure enough they did. But now... Okay, I'm going to, I think, make a little bit of a misplay here. So we Droplet... Okay, that's fine. Droplet for Eclipse, that was to just get 3 spells in the yard. Now, my plan was to ideally steal DPE plus any other monster, and then start going into plays by going into my Link summons. But I should have activated Widow Anchor, target Trinity first. Because then if they would have chained DPE to pop the Trinity I'm targeting, I could have used Triple Tack to draw 2 and find, like, you know, a Ray or a Rhoda or an Engage or something off the top of my deck. But by triple tacking to steal first, and then chaining Widow Anchor, targeting Trinity, I'm risking my opponent chaining DPE, again, to pop their own Trinity, and then I can only steal one of these, and I don't have the ability to make plays. Thankfully, they didn't chain, so we're good. But, yeah, the correct play would have been to Widow Anchor, target Trinity first. See if that resolves, and then go for triple tack. Although, to be fair, if I did it in that order, they could still DPE pop the Trinity on my board, and I'd only get 1 monster. I think I just had to draw 2 there. I think the real... The play, assuming my opponent was playing correct, was to draw 2, but because my opponent misplayed, the way that I did it ended up being fine, because I got 2 monsters out of them, you know, turned them into Azalea, then into Kagari, added back the Engage, and now we can go into an almost OTK line. We're actually going to be 500 points short here, but I think it's still worth trying to deal the damage. The alternative would have been to search for another Engage off the Ace-0, leave it in play, and then pop a monster on their turn, plus have whatever I search plus draw, which probably would have been Widow Anchor, or Lemniscate. Yeah, we're going to go into Zeke first, that way we can just get all of our monsters out of the main monster zones. Amatsu, set 2, and then pass. Yeah, like I said, we ended up being 500 short here. And they peeled a Hero Lives off the top of the deck, which was actually just insane. We're going to go Droplet and Negate, and that's going to be enough to get them to concede here. Thankfully, because, again, it's the Dual Triangle event. They aren't able to Link summon, so summoning Mally out of the graveyard wouldn't have really done anything here. And of course, if they would have battled Stratos over Amatsu, I would have just revived Ray, and then just gone to Ace-0 and popped off even more. Of course, even without that, no matter what I top deck, I can go Amatsu into Kagari, add back Engage, and then still pop off. So, yeah, in spite of my misplays, we are still playing the control game here. And with our opponent only at 250 life points, I should have been able to finish them off quite easy. Okay, so there's the games. Let me show you, I'll show you the dual triangle build first, and I'll show you my regular ranked ladder build. Okay, so this is the build that I used for the event. This is the actual list that was in the replays, but as I mentioned, I was really more just playing Sky Striker in the event to get some practice in. So let me actually back up for a second, and yeah, here is the more regular ranked ladder build. Although, there is one thing, yeah, I forgot Called By, so we're definitely going to sub that in for one of the 2 triple tacks. Okay, so this is the build that I had in mind to potentially try on Ranked Ladder here. Again, we're playing a smaller Radiant Typhoon package of just 1 Eldum, 1 Swen, 1 MST, and then 3 of each Vision, which you would play even without more Radiant Typhoon cards, I think, but then also 3 Chant. The idea here is that you can go Eldum plus Swen, which can be accessed via Chant or opening either of these monsters, to, as I did with a lot of my opponent's monsters, go into Camellia or Zelia, and then from there into Kagari or whatever else, you know, Sky Striker monsters in order to make Sky Striker plays. If I were a little bit more dedicated to trying out Sky Striker, though, I would definitely, for one, craft Upstart Goblins. I don't actually own them. If I owned those, then I think I'd be a lot more inclined to take out some of the Radiant Typhoon stuff. Like, take out the chance for the Upstarts, take out MST and the monsters for maybe Pot of Desires, and then obviously just leave in the Visions because those are still good. But Super Polymerization is kind of one of the main selling points of this deck. Or again, if you're not into that, you could always do... Did I actually bookmark it? I think I did. The Book of Eclipse. I didn't, but I definitely should. That card is definitely bookmark worthy. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, if you're not looking to play Super Poly, if you're not looking to spend that extra deck space, or you don't want to craft the URs, Book of Eclipse is also very, very good against Cool Tune. A quick play spell, and the only real drawback of it is that it can be negated by Ash Blossom, which has come up for me, so be wary of that. But Super Poly obviously can't be responded to by anything, and against Cool Tune you can make the Sea Monster of Theseus. Of course, we also have the other main options against pretty much everything else. As mentioned, I'm only on 1 copy of Lemniscate and 2 Ace Zero because those are all I own, but 2 Lemniscate is definitely not a bad idea at all, because, of course, if you get into a grind game, you can just constantly recycle your Sky Striker spells and Link monsters. With the first Lemniscate, you put, you know, however many back, and then with your second Lemniscate, you can put back the first Lemniscate, so on and so forth, ad infinitum if needed. But of course, being able to banish for the graveyard effect does occasionally come up as it did for us here. Yeah, so I think with the exception of, you know, the Radiant Typhoon engine being subbed out for more spells that straight up draw, like Upstart or Desires, this is, I think, pretty much one of the more ideal ways to play Sky Striker in the current meta. And like I said, there is a lot of reason to play it in the current meta. It is quite good against Cool Tune, while still being a really solid control deck in general. But yeah, I think that's actually going to go ahead and do it for now. So thank you as always for watching, super appreciate the support. But for now, let's move on to our outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.